Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial. So in today's video, we're gonna see how we can create a shopping cart using JavaScript. So for that, I'm gonna show you a demo of the project. So what we'll create is that when we click on these buttons, add to cart, the product should be added to this cart. And if I click on this one, you will see that a sum price of all products that are in a cart will be shown here in the right side of this icon. And if I add another one, you will see that this price will be changed dynamically each time we add or remove any product to the cart. So if I show the cart, you will see that those products are already in a cart. And we also are able to increase and decrease the count of each product. So for example, if I click on this plus button, you will see that the count has changed, and also the price and some price have changed as well. We also able to decrease. So if I click on this minus button, you will see that the count decreased by 1 and the price changed as well. And if I click one more time, you will see that this product will be disappear from cart because the count will be 0, and when it is 0, so there shouldn't be any product. So if I click on this, you will see that product will be removed from the cart. Okay, so this is what we will create. Now I'm going to close this cart, but I'm going to let this demo page open, so we will need it later. And then I'm going to move to this page. This is the page that we will work with it. So here, when I click on these buttons, you will see nothing happened and no product will be added to the cart. So now let's start coding and add those functionality that we saw in a demo to this page. We can start by creating a separate JavaScript file for the shopping cart, which I already did, and I name it shoppingcart.js. And then we have to add it to the end of body tag in the index.html file. And I did it here in this line. And then here in shoppingcart.js, we can start by creating a variable and call it products in cart and assign it to an empty array. So we will store the products that we want to be shown in the shopping cart here in this variable. Then I'm going to create another variable and call it the parent element and assign it to document query selector. And then I'm going to select an element with ID by items. So I can open the demo page here, so show you which element I mean. So if I select this item, you will see that this product is stored in this unordered list, and this unordered list have the ID by item. So this is the parent element that I selected. So this list will contain the products that are in the cart. Then we have to select this sum price as well. So we can do it by creating another variable and call it cart sum price. And then document query selector. And this time I'm gonna select the item with the sum prices ID. Okay, now we have to select all the products in this page. So, and by that I mean the products that have these buttons. So it will be these 4 and these mobiles. To select all these products, I'm gonna create another variable and then name it products and assign it to document query selector all. Then I'm gonna select all the elements that have the product hyphen under in the class list. Now we can add event listener on all of those products by typing products. For each product, then for each product add event listener. The type of event should be click, and for callback function, first we have to pass the event as argument to it, and in the callback function itself, the first step is to check if the event comes from the add to cart button, and we can do it by checking if the element have the add to cart in their class list. So if event target class list contains then the class name add to cart, and if it contains, then we will grab the product's information and then add it to the cart. We can start by getting the product ID. So for that, first I'm gonna show you where you can find it here in this HTML code. So here in this add to cart button, you see that there is a data attribute which is named product ID, and this is the ID that we want. To access it, first I'm gonna create a variable so we can store it into this variable, then assign it to event target dataset and then product ID. Then we can get the product name. For the product name, we will use this div tag, which is same as this product that we are adding event listener on it. And then we can access this h4 tag by using this class name product name. So we can type product, then query selector, and select the product name. But this part of code will return the whole h4 tag, which we don't need. All we need is the text inside of it, and we can access it by adding the inner HTML into the end of this query selector. Then for the product price, we can do the same, and I can copy the code and paste it here, and all we need is to change this class name to the price value. Then we can get the product image. So for the product image, we can type product query selector and select the image tag. Then we can add the src or source to the end of this query selector, because we want the image path and not the whole image tag. Now we can set all this information into an object. So for that, I'm going to create an object and name it product to cart, then assign it to an object with a name, product name, then for the image, product image, and for the ID, product ID, and the count by default is 1. Then the price will be product price, but here we need to convert this product price to the integer because this is a string, and we can do it by simply adding the plus signs before the product price. Then we need also a base price because the price will be changed each time the count is changed. So we can set a base price to the same product price. Now I'm going to call two functions that we didn't create them yet, but we're going to create them in a second. So the first one is called update products in cart, and we have to pass this product to cart as argument to it. And the second one is update shopping cart HTML. So the first function will update this products in a cart list, And because this list is updated, we have to update the HTML code as well. So this function will do that. Now let's create this update products in a cart. So for that, I'm gonna move this part down, and then function, then the name of function, and then it takes an argument. So I'm gonna call it product. So what this function will do is to loop through all the products in this list and check if this product that we passed as argument to it exists in this list. And if it does, then we want to increase the count by 1 and update the price. But if it doesn't, then we want to add this product to this list. To do that, we can start by creating a for loop. So for a I equals 0, and then I less than products in cart length, and then we want to increase the I by 1. And here we're gonna check if the products ID that we passed is equal the products ID of the index I. And we can do it by simply checking if the products at index I and then ID is equal product ID. And if it is, so if they are same, then we want to increase the, I can just copy it. So then we can increase the count by 1. And then for the price, so to updating price, we can get the price by multiplying the base price to the count of product. And we can do it by simply typing product at index I, then base price, and then multiplying by this product's count. And then we want to return. So after we update the price and count, we have to exit from this function, and we can do it by adding this return to the end of this if statement. But if we look through all the products and we didn't find any products that have the same ID, then this means that the product doesn't exist in the list, and we can add the product to this list. And we can do it by typing products in cart and then push the product. Okay, so now this function is done. So we can now jump to this update shopping cart HTML and create this one. To create this function, we can copy the name, and here at the top we can type const function's name, function keyword, and then curly bracket. So what this function will do, first it will check if is there any products in this products in a cart list, and if it does, then it will loop through all of those products and generate a HTML code for each of them, and at the end it will add those HTML code to this parent element. But if there isn't any products, then it will first hide the checkout button, and then it will add some sort of text that says there isn't any products in a cart. So we can start by checking if products in cart length is greater than 0. So if it is, so that means that there are some products in a cart. Otherwise, so if the cart is empty, then we want to first remove the checkout button, and for that first we need to select it, and we can do it by using the class name checkout, and then class list, and then we can add class name hidden. Then we can add some text to this parent element that says that the cart is empty. So for that, parent element and then inner HTML, and then we can set it to this h4 tag that says your shopping cart is empty. we also need to set this sum price. So it will be here, this sum price. There shouldn't be any price here, and we can remove it by setting it by setting the inner HTML to empty string. Okay, so what if there are some products in a cart? So for that, we can use the map function to look through the products and return a HTML code for each of them. So we can do it by typing products in cart and then map function product. So for each product, we want to return a string. But before that, because this map function will return some sort of output, so therefore I'm gonna store it to a variable and call it result. And then we can copy the HTML code for the product. So this part of code is HTML code for a product in the cart. So we can copy it and then paste it here. Then we need to change some information here. So for example, we can start by this image and set it to product image. Then for the product name, so it should be product name, then price, and then here you see that we have a data attribute which is named ID. So these two buttons, plus button and minus button, we're gonna use it to increase and decrease the count of the product. So for that, we need to know which product that we want to increase or decrease the count of it. So we need to change it to product ID. Now we can set the parent element inner HTML to result and then join, because the result of map function is an array and we want just one HTML code and not just an array of HTML codes. So by using this join method, we can join all of those to just one string. Then we need to also remove the hidden class name from the class list of checkout button. So we can copy this part and here we can paste it and change the add to remove. Then we can update the sum price. So I can set a $signs here. Then here I'm gonna call the functions that we're gonna create it in a second, and it is called count the sum price. So it will count the sum price of all products in this products in a cart. So we can copy the name of functions and then here we can create it by typing const functions name, function keyword, and then curly bracket. It will be a really simple function. So we can start by creating a variable called the sum price and set it to 0. And then we're gonna look through all of products in this products in a cart list and add this price of each product to this sum price. And we can do it by typing product in a cart and then for each product, we want to update the sum price by product price. And at the end, we want to return the sum price. And that's it. So as I said, it is a really simple function. Now we have just one more thing left, and it is these two buttons, the plus and minus buttons. Right now, if I open the page, you see that we are able to add products to the cart, but none of these plus and the minus buttons work. So to add the functionality to them, we can add event listener to this parent element and then check if the event come from one of these buttons. For that, we can at the bottom of the code type parent element, then add event listener and the type of event, which is click. And for the callback function, first we have to pass the event as argument to it. And inside the function, we can start by creating a variable which is called is plus button, then assign it to event target class list, and then contains button hyphen plus. So this piece of code will return true if the element that we clicked on it have this class name. So we can do the same for the minus button. So we can change the plus to minus as well. And why we've created these two variables is because by using these two variables, we can check if the event come from the minus or plus buttons. So to do that, we can create a if statement and check if is plus button or if is minus button. And if it is, then we can look through the products in the cart and check if a product have the same ID as this data ID. So by checking this, we know that which product that we want to update the count and price of it. So for that, we need to create a for loop. For I equals 0, then I less than product in a cart length and increase the I by 1. And here, then we can check if product in a cart, so product at the index I, then ID is same as the event target dataset ID. So by checking these two ID, we know that which product that we want to update the count of it. So, and now we need to check if which of these buttons are clicked, so plus or minus button. So we can start by checking if is plus button. So if it is, that means that we want to increase the count of the product. So we can copy this code, then we can update the count, so we can increase it by 1. Then after this if statement, we can type else if is a minus button. So that means that we want to decrease the count of the product. So we can copy the same code here again, but this time we want to decrease it. After this if statement, we can also update the price, because now the count is changed, the price should be changed as well. So we can type product at index I, then price, and as I showed you before, we can count the price by multiplying the base price of the product to the, can copy here, to the count of the product. So now because some products have been changed in the cart, we also need to change the HTML code, and we can do it by using the same functions, same function that we created before, and it was called update shopping cart HTML. So by calling this function, we are updating the HTML code as well. Now here in this callback function, we have just one more thing that is missing, and it is to check if the count is 0. So when it is the count of a product is 0, so we have to remove it from the cart. And we can do it by adding another if statement after this if statement. So if product in a cart, and then so product at index I, then the count is less or equal 0, then we can remove it from the cart. And we can do it by typing product in a cart and then splice and then the index of the item and how many items we want to remove, and it is just 1. So now we are done with this part as well. So we can open the page again and check if everything works correctly. So we can add some products to the cart. And as you can see, those products were added correctly to the cart. And then we can increase the count. Okay. So here, sounds like we have a bug. And the price were updated correctly, and even here. But the count of the product didn't change. So I think it should be somewhere here in the HTML code. So as you can see here, the count of the product is always 1, which is wrong. So it should be same as the product count and not just 1. So now we can reload the page. So and then can add some products to the cart and then increase the count. Okay, so now the bug is solved. And we can also remove the product, and the product is removed from the cart. So before I finish this video, I'm gonna add one more functionality to this shopping cart. So right now, if I reload the page, you will see that this product that are in a cart will be removed from it. So what if we want that this product remain in a cart even if we reload the page or close the web browser? So for that, we are going to use something called local storage, and local storage is a property that allows us to store data into a web browser. So to use it, first we have to decide where in this code we want to add the data to the local storage. And I think this update shopping cart HTML function is a great place, because each time something is changed in a shopping cart, this function is called. So to use the local storage, we can call, or we can type local storage, and then to add data to the local storage, we can use this set item method. And because in the local storage, the data is stored in a key value pairs, we have to pass 2 arguments to this set item. So the first one is the key, and I can call it shopping cart. And the second one is the data that we want to store, which is this products in a cart. So I can copy it and paste it, but we can't just pass this data as it is, because in this local storage, the data should be in a JSON string format. So to convert this array to JSON string, we can type JSON and then stringify, and then we can pass this array as argument to it. We also need to get data from the local storage. So I think we can do it here at the top and then store it to this products in a cart. So for that, I'm gonna first remove this empty array, and then we can type local storage, then get item, and then pass the key value, which is this shopping cart. And as I said before, the data is stored in a JSON string. Therefore, we need to convert it back to the JavaScript array. And we can do it by typing JSON and then parse, and then we can pass this JSON string as argument to it. Right now, if there isn't any data stored in this shopping cart, the result of this line will be null, which will cause some errors in our code. So for example, here we have this products and the products in a cart and then length. And because the products is null and the null value doesn't have any properties that called length, so we will get some error here. So therefore we need to add a if statement here and check if there isn't any products in a cart. Then we want to set products in a cart to an empty array. We also need to update the HTML code, because if we got some products from the shopping cart here from the local storage, so that means that this products in a cart is updated, and therefore we need to update the HTML code, and we can do it here at the bottom by copying this update shopping cart HTML and paste it here. Now let's see that those changes that we made in a code are working correctly. So for that, I'm gonna first add another product to the cart, and then I'm gonna reload the page. And as you can see, those products are still in a cart. So this means that this will be the end of this video. So I hope the video was helpful, and if you enjoyed it, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you had any questions, you can leave it in the comment section below. So see you in another video.